Okay, so it's question time, and this is a big question that comes up with about telekinesis is how do you know that you have telekinesis? And I'm here to answer your question right now. As it is, I've got my list right here that I'm going to share with you guys. Want to let you know that the numbers are from numbers 1 to 20. Now let's get to it. Okay, so the first one that you'll know that you have telekinesis is you'll feel it through your body, certain waves, vibrations, and movement.
Number 1.
Okay, so here's our second one, and that is your mood will change and having vivid emotions. Why vivid emotions? Because sometimes emotions can also relate into telekinesis as well.
Number 2.
Okay, so now here we are at number 3, and that is you'll feel heavy and light with tingly sensations, including goosebumps.
Number 3.
Okay, and that brings us to our fourth one, and that is your vision will change. Pupils will kind of dilate, and that's just a cause of having your body to be filled with the telekinetic powers when the eyes are the windows to the soul, so they'll have to adapt, and for that reason, they'll dilate to accommodate the telekinetic powers.
Number 4.
Which brings us to our fifth one, and that is you'll see patterns, numbers, stars, and lines, which is in brackets the matrix. Why I call it the matrix is because it is the graph of telekinesis. Because telekinesis is the connection between the eyes, the mind, and the hands together make the matrix. And if you start seeing them, you will know that you have telekinesis working in you.
Number 5.
Okay, so the next biggest one that's on list number 6, and that is when your body tries to adapt hot and cold spells, and that's in itself is that your temperature will fluctuate during that time.
Number 6.
That's why during that time, making sure that you're drinking enough water and cooling down after you practice and that, and that will help with that as well too, and taking breaks in between. But right there is is one medical sign of telekinesis, because it's trying to adapt to the change, which I've already said in the other videos as well too. Okay, so now for our 7th one, which is when you start to hear things like sounds, talking, certain pitches and the levels.
Number 7.
Okay, looking down the list at number 8, and that is that you will start to have strange compulsions. Like, say, if there's an object that you're working with, and you keep on repeating it, and it becomes a compulsion. But with that compulsion, again, will start to trigger the telekinesis and end up making the object that you were playing with move for you.
Number 8.
And that brings us to our number 9th one, and that is you will have highs and lows with bursts of energy. You can feel the energy rising and falling, and it varies between the waves of your body, but in that lies the grounds of telekinesis.
Number 9.
Besides that, like the moment you try it out, you'll probably think, wow, I feel completely different. I feel energized. And lo and behold, when you're trying to make things move, even though it'll probably take a practice, so you can watch other practice videos here on my channel. But once you get down to that, oh boy, that energy in itself, once you reach out in faith like that, it will definitely move objects. Okay, so now here we are at number 10. This also goes into energy, into your body, and that is your center of balance might be kind of off, but it'll stabilize once it evens out. Just wanted to let you guys know, and that is another indicator on how you know that you have telekinesis.
Number 10.
Okay, and that takes us right to number 11, and that is that you'll know when objects start to move when you are around. That right there is a very big indicator that you have telekinesis.
Number 11.
Okay, now here we are at number 12, down on the list, and that is when your mood swings start to move certain objects around you or next to you. Besides this being a sign, that also is another one that you'll know you have telekinesis just by that.
Number 12.
So here's our 13th one, and that goes into your mind, and that is your mind will be constantly moving like the wheels in your head. Basically, so when you're doing telekinesis, the wheels are working in your head.
Number 13.
Okay, so here's the next biggest one. That's at number 14, and that is staring down on objects and reaching out with your hand. So when you start noticing that, that is another indicator that you have telekinesis that wants to come out.
Number 14.
Okay, and that brings us to number 15, and that is when you start picking up vibes and emotions, including certain auras.
Number 15.
Okay, and that brings us to number 16, and that is when your senses and pulse are elevated. The reason why they're being elevated is because of the energy and that is the way of using the energy through that in order to make things move.
Number 16.
And then one on number 17 is when you start to move objects, right? There's the most biggest sign that you have telekinesis with you and you're working with it.
Number 17.
And that makes our way down to this number 18. And that is when you start to have blurry visions that come and go.
Number 18.
Okay, so here's our 19th up. And that is having like small headaches that fake away. Like, here's an example in a movie, The X-Men. You know, Jean, she uses telekinesis. The first scene, she's holding her head, right? Just having a little bit of a headache, right there. Exactly. So that appears at number 19.
Number 19.
And now for our last one, and that's at number 20. That is when you feel tugs and pulls.
Number 20.
Anyways, that's the end of the video. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. If you don't, check out the other ones. Have an awesome night. Let the force be with you.